Welcome back to my new podcast called Friends in 3D, where we talk about stereoscopy and music. My name is Katya, and today I'm very pleased and very happy to welcome my friend Meg, and who is a photographer and a stereo photographer, just like myself, and a dear friend of mine with whom we talk a lot, we chat a lot on Instagram. Hello, Meg.
Hello, Katya. Thank you for asking me. So good to talk with you.
Yes, it's great to talk to you too, and thank you for agreeing to participate in this episode. First of all, I wanted to ask you, if that's all right, if you could say a couple of words about yourself and what your interests are.
Okay. Well, I'm nobody special, just a daughter. I work in a library. I'm what they call a paraprofessional, but I have a college degree, not a master's in library science. I love books, I love photography, I love music, obviously, and Queen quite a lot. Always have. I'm of the generation that kind of grew up with Queen, so it's like a part of my life, and it makes me happy. It puts me in mind of happier days and security. And
yeah, I don't know if I ever mentioned to you, but I used to work at the library as well.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I love it. I love helping people. It really makes my day when I can find something for somebody, or just can recommend a book that makes them happy. And
yeah, well, I just love being among books. I think it's so great, and it's so rewarding. Yeah,
reading the shelves. All the smart people start in libraries. I wonder if Brian started in a library.
Well, since you mentioned Queen already, so can I ask you, how did you get to know Queen, and when did you start being a fan, if you can call yourself a fan? It's when did you start listening to Queen actively?
Well, probably when I was growing up in junior high and high school. I was a rebellious kid, only my form of rebellion was a little bit twisted. I would listen to classical music openly, and then I'd secretly listen to the top 40 on the weekends and enjoy all normal music that normal kids listen to. And my brother, when we were growing up, the morning routine was he had one of the boom boxes in his room, and we knew when he would wake up because the floor would start vibrating. It was usually Queen or Def Leppard or all the other great 80s rock music blowing the roof off, because he was really irritated to be waking up in the morning. Always loved the triumph of it, and how smart it is. And I loved Highlander too, so I loved all the songs associated with the movie Highlander, and there was a TV series. And
oh yes, I remember TV series. Actually, what, I first saw the TV series, and it was because it was screened in Russia, so it was already, I think it was post-Soviet Russia. I think it was the early 90s, because I was at the university already, and we were all like crazy about it, because it was a very new thing for us. We didn't have too many foreign TV shows, but we all loved the hero, Duncan MacLeod, so just all were crazy about him.
So cute. Actually, both of them.
Yeah.
The movie and the TV show is a little lighter. The movies were pretty dark, at least to my mind.
Yeah.
I guess I was a little bit sheltered and a little bit delicate about things, more so back then. History aspects, the time travel. I just love the history part. Not so much the beheadings, but whatever.
Yeah. And I know that you love Doctor Who as well. Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I guess because for me it was the same. I loved Highlander, and I fell in love with Doctor Who when I was an adult already. But
my parents played it. I think, was it on PBS? I think when I was a kid, it scared the dickens out of me. It's a couple of times, that creature with the octopus coming out of its face, like,
oh yeah.
Face. And Star Trek too. I adore Star Trek. Mr. Spock and, you know, the
Yes, yes.
old series and a couple of the newer ones too. Very smart. Always the very smart characters. That's probably what really intrigued me about Brian May, who's an astrophysicist with a doctorate. I mean, aside from being the whole group playing and writing their own music, it was just they all went to college and they all, well, yeah, they all went to college and they all were extremely intelligent men who, you know, I mean, as a kid that wasn't, you know, your stereotypical rock band, you know, smart guys. But that always loops me in intelligence. It wasn't something that I expected from a rock group, at least back in the day. You hear about there's several different musicians in rock bands that were extremely well educated people. And it just intrigues me hooks me in to look at their music as well as, you know, since they're so accomplished and not just in that one area, like the astrophysics and the stereoscopy and animals. I mean, the compassion, you know, people, I mean, the rock is it always struck me sometimes when I was a little girl growing up, it was sheltered and it seemed harsh to me back in those days. But, you know, that people surprise you. You can't judge a book by its cover.
So do you remember when you were a kid, did you have greatest hits albums or some particular albums of Queen?
Actually, I didn't really have any Queen albums. I had a couple of, maybe I did, I don't even remember. I still have all my cassettes, whether they're crumbled to dust or not, I'm not sure. Things like Journey and Michael Jackson and an awful lot of classical music, because weird rebellious side. And
yeah, I also grew up with cassettes and vinyls, of course. Yeah, but mostly our music collection was classics and operas. And actually it was me and my sister that were buying some rock on vinyl, so which were also not all of them, like they gradually became available again in Soviet Union. It was like late years of the Soviet Union.
Was it kind of touchy about buying rock music in the Soviet Union?
Well, not in my time, not in my childhood. Back, it was already like it was pretty loose at that point. Back in, I would say, like in the 70s or even in the early 80s, if your teachers would know that you are listening to rock music, you might get into some trouble. Not like the big trouble, but they might, you know, have a school meeting about this and say, you know, you shouldn't do it.
Be the fisheye.
Yeah. So
naughty.
Yeah. But actually, most of my classmates, they were into disco, into dance music. So me loving Beatles or Queen, it was very uncool. You know? So I just wanted to ask you, what brought you into stereoscopy? Was it Brian? Was it something else? So how did you find out about this? Because for me, I knew about stereoscopy through my childhood stereo cards, stereo slides that I had, which was not Viewmasters, but a bit different type. So how about you? So did you have any exposure to stereoscopy before you started actively doing it, or was it the first time you found out about it?
Well, I was aware of it. Like you, I had a toy, a little Viewmaster, and I don't remember being that thrilled with it because the scenes were just Flintstones and little figures. I mean, it was kind of okay. That's interesting. Little plastic figures looking dimensional. And I knew about the Victorian and probably saw them in a museum, the Victorian viewers. I had no idea that you could actually take them, make your own, until Brian May. I mean, somehow after the movie, the Bohemian Rhapsody, somehow I got on Instagram and discovered that, hey, Brian May is on Instagram, and all the stereos pictures there, and the London Stereoscopic Company, and the instructions that you can do this yourself. And I had a cell phone with a nice camera on it. I had to try it, and all these interesting people that Brian May even talks to people on Instagram, or did at that time. So I had to give it a try, and it's fun. And it's prompted, kind of a lot of interesting exchanges with a lot of interesting people all over the world. And it's tremendously exciting to me. And especially this year with the Zoom, I never probably would have attended a stereo convention. I mean, it's a lot of effort and a lot of money to travel, but to attend one on Zoom and all the different talks, it makes me want to do so, to make the effort and the expense to see people and experience an actual convention. It's fascinating. All of my favorite subjects, history and art and music, even with Brian May, but I guess we're not likely to see him at a stereoscopic convention.
Yeah, even though he used to, I think, attend them before, but also I've attended one in-person convention in 2019, so just before the pandemic. I was lucky because it was not too far from where I live. It was in Ohio, and I could just drive there, and it took me, I don't know, 4 hours or something. So, but yeah, usually it's far, and it's really complicated to get there. So I'm also very thankful for this opportunity to meet people and to attend all those lectures, especially the London Stereoscopic Company lectures. They're always amazing.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Well, I never would get to, I shouldn't say never, maybe someday, but the frequency of being able to hear these lectures and see these people, just as if we're living in London. It's amazing.
Yeah.
What my grandfather would have thought, I mean, he wrote his own short memoir, growing up on a farm, and they used horses to farm with. Mm-hmm. We live in interesting times. And
yes, that's what my father sometimes says, that when he was a kid, they used to live in the country, and it was right after the war. And there was a guy who would bring water using a horse and a cart. Yeah, so like there was no water in this house.
Yeah, I mean, my dad even had memories of being on the farm, and his grandmother, and apparently they didn't have, on one side of the family, they had the first running water and, water closet in the house. And on the other side of the family, it was a farm. So they had an outhouse, and his grandmother, as if I'd seen it, the little story of his grandmother carrying the chamber pots at a distance, from her, with a look on her face.
Well, I can remember living in the kind of a country house cottage, which we rented when I was a kid. It was not far from Moscow, where I grew up, but we would go there for the summer vacations, and we would have an outhouse. We would have no running water in the house, so you had to go to the well to get it, or sometimes, if you're lucky, you would have like the tap water, but it would still be outside of the house. So you still had to take a bucket and get it and bring it to the house.
It's a long way humanity has come. Let's hope we don't regress at some point.
Oh, yes. Yes, I agree.
No more of this dystopian stuff like this past year.
Yes. Oh, yes. Really want things to get back to at least, some normality. So with stereoscopy, before you started taking stereo photos, did you take photos, just mono photos? And if you did, do you see any difference in terms of your own attitude, the difference between stereos and monos?
Stereos are much more exciting. I wish that more people could see them, or even would give it a try, because there's so much more interesting. I mean, they're beautiful pictures, and you know, you can post process and tweak the colors up to make it look more dimensional, but it's not like stereo. All the possibilities, I think they should all be, I think that all science books, you know, in school should be in stereo, and kids should be able to look at scientific pictures in stereo. I think it would be so useful and inspirational.
Yes, I agree, especially, I don't know, in physics or in biology, just looking at for example, the insides of someone, of an animal, of a human.
It's so much more real, and you feel like you're in the place, even like if it's in space, even in imaginary space, you know, with the Vanessa Grain's nebula drawings and the NASA stereos that are coming out. It seems a lot more real than a picture. It almost makes a color flat 2D photo seem almost black and white. You know, it's like one black and white, one color, and one to-do stereo. I was really kind of glad that this silly thing that, you know, I had a cat for about nearly 20 years, and having a stereo of my heart kitty to look at and almost touch means a lot to me. It means a lot to me.
Yes. Sometimes I wish I could do conversions. I cannot do stereo conversions. So stereo conversions, explaining to our listeners, is when you can convert 2D to 3D, and we have some people in our community who do it brilliantly. But I don't know. I know that you can do it, but I never could. But I would love to convert, I don't know, maybe some of the older pictures of maybe my family, maybe of people who are not with us anymore. So it would be nice. Yeah.
Sounds almost mathematical. I wonder if it actually is that calculation heavy. I don't know.
I don't know. I know that you have to make a depth map or something like this. Yes, and I think you're right. I think it is in a way mathematical. I think you still are using some programs, some software for this.
I'm kind of still really a dilettante about it. I kind of guess and kind of experience and guessing and then trying to hit the button quick enough, and especially if something's moving and it's really nifty, and I'd really like to have a stereo of it.
Yeah, of your cat.
Yeah. Cat stereos, wait till they're asleep.
Yes. Well, we both have cats, and actually they look very similar. They look like sisters. But yeah, I have lots and lots of stereos of her asleep, and I rarely can catch her when she is awake because she moves. So yeah.
I love it. And the fur that you can almost touch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You can see all those whiskers and in 3D. It's so nice. Actually, I really love that we in our community, when we don't just know each other's names, but we also know the names of our pets. Like I can at least mention, you know, several cats and dogs that I know.
Catterday is a real thing in the stereo community, isn't it?
Yes. Yes, it's always so enjoyable, and it's amazing to see all those cats from, again, around the world, from Japan, from Europe, from the US, from Canada.
I think that's the mark of good people, the love of animals and the love of nature, and that seems to be two big themes in the stereo community. Maybe drifts to you know, the affinities, since we all love Brian so much, and he loves wildlife and tries to protect it and promotes decency and kindness. And it just seems to me like the stereo community is a very decent and kind community for the most part.
Yes, I agree. I think it's great we have such a great role model for us.
That's probably why. probably why we all gravitate together. Stereo photography allowing you to virtually travel and really feel like you're there. The way everybody is in different parts of the world and people share, even when they go themselves, if they're not actually like natives of Milan or London or any place like that, the beautiful photography that people do to in obscure places too, you know, different castles and ruins and the landscapes, you know, the natural beauty of a place in stereo, like you're there and practically getting your feet wet in the dew. That is a treat. That's probably what prompted me to try it myself, since when I found out that I can, to share my little corner of the world, which isn't as exciting as others, but sure fun to try.
Yeah, yeah.
Sure fun to watch every day.
Yes. Well, I think I think what I learned from this experience of taking stereos and especially seeing stereos of other people is that we have beauty everywhere. Yes, and every corner, even, you know, like the small one and maybe even the ordinary one has some beauty. And for the last year, I've been having this morning walks. So every morning I would go for a walk for an hour, about an hour. And I would walk the same roads, literally. So I know my neighborhood, like I would probably be able to walk it with my eyes closed because I know everything. But every time I walk, I see something new, and I'm just amazed because, of course, nature changes, seasons change, but also sometimes you just walk past it and you think, wow, how come that I haven't noticed it before?
And photography kind of fosters that or prompts that, because you've got your camera in your pocket and you're looking with different eyes. You're absorbed in your own thoughts, but still you're also thinking of the worlds that going on around you, and sort of with not just eyes that are used to seeing the same thing going by, but sort of eyes of a stranger in a way. It's just it's a neat way of seeing. It's a delightful way of remembering how wonderful we have it right now. Even with all the challenges and unhappiness in the world, even you can see life goes on and life triumphs, right? The little bugs and the little floofy-tailed squirrels and dragonflies and fresh droplets on the flowers on leaves.
Yes, I think that the first lockdown that we had a year ago in March, it was like all human activity just stopped, just ceased. But the nature was just kind of celebrating and all birds were singing, and we had so many bunnies and animals and all kinds of creatures running around.
When people get quiet, nature can hear itself think again.
Yes. Yes.
We're so noisy as humans.
Yes. Another thing I wanted to ask you is, well, we all are fans of Queen or fans of Brian. What does it mean for you to be a fan? Like, what does it, I know it's probably not an easy question, but what does it mean for you emotionally? How does it affect you as a person? Yes, being a fan.
Well, like I said before, it's kind of a link to my growing up years. I feel secure there, and it's also almost literary. You read a book sometimes at different times, the same book, it means different things to you. And listening to certain Queen songs, it means different things at different times of the day and different parts of your history, and it reminds you of your past and what's going on now. And it's happiness and it's sadness, and it's in kind of part of your life, right?
Yes, it's what it is for me as well. It's like a time machine, but it's also a way for me to sometimes to put my own emotions that I cannot talk about into music, into a tune. I don't know if it makes sense, but
Definitely, definitely. And you pick up on different tones and different words that are kind of echo what you're feeling at the time, and it kind of makes it feel better if you're not feeling good at the time, just that little echo in the song, that a particular song that catches you and kind of smooths over the hurt and distracts you and maybe lifts you up a little bit more than some other things sometimes.
yeah.
And it's always discovering too something different. I mean, there were certain things that I was aware of about, the Driven by You that Brian did. I have, of course, a Queen channel on my Pandora. So with Brian May's new album, I put Brian May into my Pandora. And so it's a kind of a mixture of Queen and Brian May and Roger too. And I like Roger's music. It's not something that, I don't know whether you hear it more in England, I don't know. But he's got a nice voice, and I like his music. I'm discovering it on Brian May channel on Pandora. One thing leads to another.
Yeah, I love Roger's songs too. I must say that I don't know them that well. I know Brian's solo work a bit better, but I love Roger's albums. And actually some songs, even Queen songs, some of them make more sense to me when they are sang by him. So like Heaven for Everyone, I really love when he sings it. Or even Days of Our Lives, even though, again, Freddie did it brilliantly. But when Roger sings it, you understand what was the meaning of the song, because he's the songwriter. He wrote it.
The interpretation is a little bit different with every person, and even other artists that sing Queen songs. Everybody brings a little something different to it, don't they?
Yeah, it's like also with Too Much Love Will Kill You, Freddie's version and Brian's version. They are very different, and I love both of them. I cannot say which one I love more, because they almost feel like two different songs to me.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And it is just, I haven't listened probably. I mean, I've listened to all the albums, but sometimes I get on you take one CD and put it in your car on a long drive, and I love it so much I can listen to it on repeat, so that I know that what song is coming after. I don't have a fancy CD player that shuffles them, but that take my breath away. That it's such a jazzy, and I see, I mean, we're experimental. Wasn't that a line in the movie? We're doing experimental for 1975, and that was quite forward, wasn't it?
Yes, it was, I think.
Advanced, and I enjoy it more and more as I hear it. Take my breath away.
It always breaks my heart a bit, because it's beautiful, but it's so sad. And
that's something that kind of helps sometimes when you're feeling sad. My dad recently unexpectedly passed away, and I've been listening to Teo Toriate. Means something to me because you learn from your parents, and you don't want to lose the memories. You don't never lose the lessons you've learned, and the flower that touches you. And the song isn't about death, but it just kind of echoes with remembrance and the beauty of memories and people that you love, and distance of one kind and another.
Yes, I think it is about memory, and about something that stays even after we're gone.
Meaningful.
Yes.
And the fact that they wrote it for their special Japanese fans, and the love that the Queen has for their fans had.
Yes, I was always very touched by this mutual love and affection, and actually this very special attention that Queen has to their fans. And I think they always had it, and we can see it, in, of course, in the way Brian communicates with all of us here, you know, on Instagram. It's amazing. I have never seen anything like this.
Yeah, definitely. And Freddie too. Freddie was so warm and vibrant and large.
Yes.
Huge personality, huge voice, and they all have that.
I think I heard it in one of the documentaries, and someone said that even if you were in the last row, like nosebleed seats, you would still feel this connection with Freddie on stage. Like he would, like no one would be left out. And that, in a way, that's how you. I think that's how you still feel with even with the, you know, today's version of Queen and Adam.
It's so special. So special. Diminish it at all, you know. It's just touches your heart. That's what makes it live, doesn't it? The love that people all share in the experience of a concert, or even just at a distance with, you know, through the recordings.
Or by sharing stereos.
Definitely.
Also, yeah.
Definitely.
Yes.
I love that so much.
Yes, me too. Very grateful for all of this, and for people, you know. It's my most utmost gratitude is for everyone, you know, you and all of my friends that I met through this community. It's amazing. Yes, it's something that I never expected would happen to me.
Me too, so much so. Human decency fostered by Queen Brian May, stereo photography, art, music, magical thing.
Absolutely.
Kind of magic.
Kind of magic. Well, thank you so much for participating in my episode. It was so lovely to talk to you. So many interesting things that you told me. Thank you so much for sharing them. And if you are listening to us on Spotify, you can find Meg on Instagram, and I will put in her Instagram handle. Thank you so much, dear Meg, and I'll see you around.
Definitely. Thank you so much. It's a tremendous pleasure talking with you tonight.
Thank you, and for me too.